Okay, take it away, Lisa.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for inviting me. This is very exciting. We actually have been trying to make this happen since my book came out. So tomorrow my book is 2 years old. So I want to really appreciate the club for inviting me again and again. I'm sorry that my book tour is so busy that it took till now, but I'm very excited because like you said, I do have a trip idea. I'd love you guys to come with me. So this slide I got to make with the PADI background because I've spoken for PADI at the Travel Adventure Show. I've spoken New York, Dallas, Chicago, and here in Los Angeles. I'm based in Los Angeles. So one of the things that happens to me, I go to a lot of travel conferences. I'm a travel journalist, like you said, and I listen to people and I'm like, why are you talking to me? Who is this? So this is a few of the times that before COVID, I was on KTLA, our local news here in LA, a lot talking about my travels. And like I said, I do have my book, Bravish, and Bravish at this point has won 10 awards. It's been an award-winning, exciting time, and people have been really interested in the book. And we'd also discussed that if people are interested in my book, that we could put a list together and I'll sign the books and send them out to you, a whole bunch of them. If people want the book, I'm happy to send signed books. So again, through my book, I've had a lot of incredible opportunities. I was in Bloomberg, Travel and Leisure. People have interviewed me. I've been on TV. And the other exciting thing that my book agent calls the gift of the book is the subtitle of my book, Bravish, is One Breakup, Six Continents. So the gift of the book is in January, I went to Antarctica. So I have a few slides from there. Here's just a few more things about my book. I was on Good Day New York, Good Day LA, and you might not know I travel with a hula hoop. Sometimes when I go on TV, they're not too prepared for me to hula hoop, but anyway. So for me, traveling started when I was very young. My parents took us on a cruise. This is us, 1981. And the thing that was exciting for me, besides that I fell in love with the water, is that I realized social studies, which I had found quite boring in school, really came to life. We went to the pyramids, the Parthenon, the Western Wall, and I found out history's not boring. However, you might be surprised to find out swimming remained a challenge for me a very, very long time. So if you have a friend or a partner or you, I'm assuming everyone in your dive club could swim, but for me, I was the challenging one. I had a near drowning as a child and I did not like swimming. I was afraid of swimming. My college roommate is an NC or was is an NCAA synchronized swimmer. So I would go to the library and she would go to the gym, and every day I walked by the gym. And finally I said, "Do you think that sometimes I could come in the gym and do something?" So she retaught me to swim as an adult. I mean, a college student. The first time I went swimming at the pool, I'm most of the people that swim in college or swam in high school, they're quite decent swimmers. So I was like, I'm not getting in the water. She goes, it's okay. No one cares what you do. Swim one lane, push out at the end, and shout 100. No one will know what you did. And no one's watching, no one's counting your laps. But that's been kind of a theme for me in my book. And with diving, fall down seven, get up eight. That I always like to remind people I was essentially so bad in class because of my history that when we went to the ocean, I learned to dive in Monterey Bay. All of a sudden, my class had another instructor. And after we did the first couple checkout dives, I said to my instructor, why is there another person here? He goes, oh, I brought him for you. I'm like, why did you bring him for me? So I didn't think you were going to do so well today. He said, you had so much trouble in the pool with all the drills. Why were you so good in the ocean? I said, I guess I never drowned in the ocean. I mean, in the pool, I had a lot of like trauma anyway. So if you know someone that's afraid of diving, there's hope for them. The other thing that I learned doing my book, so my book has 50 dares. I did 50 essentially crazy challenges before I turned 50 after my divorce. At my 50th challenge, I did go skydiving on my 50th birthday, and I really was scared. For those of you that have ever been skydiving, when I arrived at the place, it was in near La Jolla in Oceanside, in near San Diego. When I arrived, there was a lot of cloud cover, and you can't go. You are on a hold waiting for the clouds. So my hold turned out to be 2 hours, which meant I had 120 minutes to think about my choices. And I was pretty sure my choice was to leave. So my instructor was trying to keep me from leaving, and he was asking about my challenges. And somewhat prior to the skydiving, I was in Mexico at shark school. I went scuba diving with bull sharks. And my instructor says, "Oh no, I would never do that." I said, "They pay you to jump out of an airplane." He said, "Well, I'm afraid of sharks." And that was the very first day that I realized my whole life thought some people were brave like him and some people were scared like me, that bravery was like a light switch. And probably the first time I saw a nurse shark in St. Thomas or St. John, I was afraid. But, I've been in a lot of places. I've done a lot of diving. I was a little bit afraid after class when we first got in the water with the bull sharks, but I could do it. And it was interesting to me. That was one of the things, the biggest takeaway of my project was that everyone has different fears. And I think that's important when we're taking people with us around the world, that not everybody sees things the same and we all get better as divers. This is after I jumped out of a plane. I climbed a skyscraper. If you're on your way to New York, this is called the Edge. It's really fun. You literally climb up the stairs and then you walk around the edge of the building. Except I danced like Saturday Night Fever. It was super fun. Okay, so this slide, Monterey Bay was where I first learned to dive, cold water diving. I was in college in Philly. I moved to San Francisco for grad school. I went on leave and I learned to scuba dive. I loved scuba diving, but I was an elementary school teacher. And I'm not sure if you know this, but elementary school teachers do not make all the bucks for exotic dive vacations. So I could get, my friend Lainey used to bring camel to my class, or this boa constrictor, that's Julius Squeezer. I had a lot of fun at school, but I couldn't afford to go diving. So I quit my job and I went to work for Club Med. So in the picture, the pretty one, that's my sister. The other one, that's me dressed up as Marge, the nerdy librarian. So because my very first dive trip in Monterey Bay was so rough and I was so seasick, I leaned over the boat the whole time, basically screaming I was moving to the mountains. The story's a little bit longer than that, but I worked for Club Med. My first village was in Colorado skiing. After that, there's a variety of things, but I eventually moved to working on the cruise ship. So when you said you need Julie McCoy, the cruise director, that was my job. I spent 7 years and I sailed almost every continent. The diving was amazing, the traveling was amazing. There's a lot about it in my book, but let's sum up to say that it's like living in a college dorm, but no one has any homework. So, and it was before really the internet, so you could imagine what happened at night. Anyway, so after that, I got to do more exciting scuba diving as a travel journalist. This first picture that looks like that's me in all of these pictures, but the wall of barracudas, that's actually really a tornado of barracudas. That's in Sipadan. Sipadan for sure should be on your bucket list. It was amazing. I've never seen so many barracudas. There were people on my dive trip that day in Sipadan at Barracuda Point. It was their first dives after checkout. I was like, wow, welcome, but this is like one of the best dives I've ever seen. So I hope all the rest of your dives are enjoyable. Then I got to go on a liveaboard in Cuba. That's at Gardens of the Queen. And the one in the bottom is me in Puerto Rico. Filmed a web series with Orbits, and we were filming in Puerto Rico and Bermuda. And in Puerto Rico, I had sailed out of Puerto Rico for months. When I worked on the cruise ship twice, my home port was Old San Juan. And we never went scuba diving, but I went back with this filming crew and they're like, "Don't you want to go scuba diving?" I'm like, "Do people go scuba diving here?" And it was really great. We saw giant moray eels. There was lots of life, lots of color. I think sometimes you find what you look for, but I loved all of those dives. This is a funny story. When you're traveling with a bunch of journalists, someone's always filming. So with Beaches Resorts, I filmed in Turks and Caicos, another one of my favorite places. And I'm a dive master. I basically was the most junior person on the boat, which doesn't happen that often for me. And so, right, like there were three course directors and the head of all of diving for the beaches, sandals, and 18 resorts. I mean, everybody was amazing. So I was that day, in fairness, the worst buddy I've ever been because everyone else was watching. So when Gus, who was the lead dive master on the boat for the trip, asked me to dance, that's what happened. Then my buddy came by. He was the course director. You can see him. He wasn't that happy. I know. If you're gonna dance underwater, remember you're probably gonna descend quite a bit, but it was still fun. And they ended up, PADI used this footage. It was so much joy and fun, and you don't always have everybody's filming when you're with a bunch of journalists. Anyway, so that was part of PADI's International Women's Dive Day coverage with beaches that year. Oh, sorry, this is another longer version. One of the things that I like to do when I'm scuba diving is make sure that my buddy's really good at photography. So these are my buddy's pictures in Belize. I know everybody wants to be the best at photography, but I'm not. So I like my buddy to be excellent, and that's just my tip. You don't have to be good at everything, but you should have friends that are good. So a few of my favorite places that I've gotten to dive, I went to Destin in Florida. I was invited to be a judge. They have, as part of their huge lionfish derby, if you like to spear lionfish, and I know we all want the lionfish to get out, as part of the derby, they do a restaurant week, and each restaurant cooks the lionfish differently. So they call Destin the luckiest fishing village, but I personally call Destin the smartest fishing village because they have not one, but four marine biologists. The guy next to me, Alex, he and his wife just had a baby. Alex is one of the four marine biologists, and they work really hard to care for the ecosystem, and it's incredible what they do. So this is in that structure you're looking at on the side of the picture. That's me in a artificial reef they had just dropped. They have dropped so many things. They've built a lot of these kind of pyramid looking structures. We dove that brand new one that we watched them drop from the crane, and then we drove one that was a year old. And it was incredible how many fish were living there and all of the um, plants, and it was amazing that you could literally watch the ocean change. And personally, I don't get fishing. I don't understand. You spear, hook the fish, you traumatize the fish, and you throw it back. I don't get it. But anyway, they do have fishing, but they also have great scuba diving and other fun things. And it's, I think, great if you guys wanted to go out and be like a team for the lionfish derby. It was really impressive what they do. I can highly recommend them in Destin. For anyone that hasn't eaten lionfish, I'm a pretty picky eater. I love eating lionfish. First of all, because I hate that they're in the wrong ecosystem and they're terrorizing, North American reefs. But also, they're really good. So, the very first time I ever saw a lionfish, it was where it belonged in the Red Sea, and I thought it was beautiful. But when I see them where they don't belong and they're harming things, they don't make me as happy. So this was a funny story. I went to Laredo in Mexico. It's a direct flight from Los Angeles. I didn't check, but I imagine you have a direct flight from one of your many airports near you in Texas. I went all the way to the Galapagos because I have my whole life wanted to see blue-footed booby. So you could imagine how surprised I was when I went on this really tiny flight to Laredo, Mexico for scuba diving, and they have blue-footed boobies. So if you always wanted to see one, you could see them much closer. Still, I recommend the Galapagos, but I just thought that was kind of fascinating that sometimes you find things in different places that maybe you didn't expect. So, and as far as cost, efficiency, or a short trip, Loretto's really close. So I highly recommend it. We had a great time. The food was amazing. The people were lovely. It's called a Pueblo, magical city. They have different cities in Mexico that have that designation. It was really fantastic. Now, I know that for a lot of people, an over the water bungalow is a bucket list item, and they are different places around the world that have them. In Fiji, this is where I stayed. That's the third one over. That was my bungalow. Liku Liku Lagoon Resort is on Malolo Island. So there's two resorts. The other side, Malolo, is family. This Liku Liku was adults. In Liku Liku Island, they have saved the Fijian crested iguana. It was on the brink of extinction. They were working with scientists around the world trying to figure out what to do. They found a breeding pair after like 19 years. And if you stay at the resort, of course, you can do scuba diving in Fiji, but you can also participate in saving the iguana. You can help remove invasive species. No, remove invasive plants. They've removed the invasive species, but now they're planting native plants. There was, as in many places, it's a big problem also in Galapagos and different places, but in Fiji also, that the wrong species are there, and then the animals can't live in the habitat without their food source. And you can learn about their habitat. The tropical dry forest is the most endangered habitat on our planet, and they are planting a goal of 200 trees a month. You can come and help plant trees in Banaka, Baka, Levu. Thank you for learning. So you can learn a lot about the iguanas. I love that. Another story I got to do, which I loved, was in the Solomon Islands. I went to the Solomon Islands for a Smithsonian story. It was at the time the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Guadalcanal. And you can see my headdress and what the men are holding. They still use shell money in the Solomon Islands. In fact, they tried to teach me to help make shell money, but I was not very good at it. Anyway, when I was coming back from the Solomon Islands, my dad said, would it help your story if you could interview someone that was at the battle? I said, yeah, Dad, that would definitely help my story. But it was 75 years ago, and the people that were in the battle had to be, at least 18. So it turned out while I was in the Solomon Islands, my dad had a new patient in his office, and it was a man who had joined the World War II on his 18th birthday. It was July 4th. And he served in the Battle of Guadalcanal. He later retrained as a pilot. He served in the Korean War, and he talked to me about being in the Solomon Islands. It was really incredible. This is a little clip from a story I did for the Jet Set TV. The story I did most recently for the Jet Set TV won a Telly Award. It's all about Ireland. This is a little bit of the Solomon Islands.
Solomon Island. There's 900 islands here. I flew here on Fiji Airways, Los Angeles to Fiji, and then 3 hours to get to the Solomon Islands.
That's me playing. Oh, so I went to a cultural village, and they told me that they make the cloth from bark.
It's fun. That's up.
So,
South Pacific
oops, sorry. So I asked the chief of the village if I could make the bark. Could I help make the cloth? And he started laughing. And, sometimes different places around the world, I've been in Tonga, Vanuatu, this is Solomon Islands, it's a cultural village. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, is it because I'm a woman? I can't make the cloth or the bark? I can't touch it? You don't want me to do it? He goes, oh, no, Lisa, I'm laughing because I've done this for so many years. No one ever asked for a turn. He's like, sure, you can. So that was my help make the cloth. I was much better at that than trying to make the shell money. This is the shell money again. Some underwater diving and a lot of incredible wrecks. There's wrecks from all different places because there's Japanese planes, there's American, there's all different. There's so many historical museums. It's a very interesting place. I really enjoyed being in the Solomon Islands. So here's another funny story. I traveled for a year, almost 11 months, and when we were in Indonesia, we went to this tiny place called Derawan. And while we were in Derawan, they asked if we wanted to go swim with the stingless jellyfish, which was I guess we were in Kalimantan, then we were in Derawan, and we were on our way to this other island, Kakavan. So on the way out, it was an hour boat ride. The guy driving the boat asked me, did I want to snorkel on a rope? It was essentially like being dragged, like if you were water skiing and you fell under. That's what snorkeling on a rope felt like with him as the driver. So I was like, yeah, that's enough of that idea. That's not perfect. But anyway, we go out for an hour and we get to this place in Kakavan, and we walk on this wooden plank, and we see there's more jellyfish in the water than flowers in the field. And I thought to myself, if they don't sting, it might be nice. And if they do sting, this is my last day. And that, I mean, it was terrifying to me. But anyway, I bravely jumped in. We swam with a jellyfish. Then after that trip was on our way back from the 11 months away, we were in Palau. And if you've never been diving in Palau, is one of my most favorites. You just go to the Rock Islands and Milky Lake, and being at what's it called? Blue Corner in Palau, they hook you in from your BCD. You literally just hang in the current like a kite, and everything swims by you. It was amazing. So, but we're in Palau, and they said, this is the only place in the whole world that you can swim with the stingless jellyfish. And I looked at the guide and I said, do you want to think about your answer? And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, I've never been here, but I've already been swimming with the stingless jellyfish. He's like, it's not possible. I'm like, okay, it's not. Anyway, so if you want to go swimming with the jellyfish, you can see we do no fins. The fins are not good for the jellyfish. It feels like a little bit like swimming in jello because the jellyfish, they brush by you. I loved it. But if you're going, you have to make sure there are certain parts of the year or the season. Sometimes the jellyfish are all in a larval stage and there's nothing to swim with. And there have been times where they made the choice that the environment, the ecosystem needs a rest, and they were not allowing tourists to swim. So the last time I checked, it was allowed. The other amazing thing about Palau that I keep hoping that another large part of society will be interested in is the Palau created this Palau Pledge. And basically, it's an agreement between you as a tourist guest with the children of Palau that you pledge to take care of their island. And, as divers, most of us are very good about take only pictures and leave only bubbles, but that's not universally true of tourists and travelers. And this idea won them an award at Cannes Lion. It was a big advertising, impressive event. I was at Adweek and I got to meet the ambassador, and I keep hoping that other islands and places will be better guests. And maybe the pledge helps. I'm not certain that it does. You might be aware that a lot of places are no longer stamping passports anyway. So it may not get picked up since they're not doing it anyway, but Palau is phenomenal. I highly recommend Palau. So I did not scuba dive in Antarctica, but I did hula hoop. And not just me, other people hula hoop too. I don't know if they're in this video. Let's see. No, that's still me. Oh, there she is. One of the guides decided to hula hoop. And in fact, I left that hula hoop with her, and she took it all across Chile. That was my ship. I went with Quark Adventures. Quark was phenomenal. I have lots of video and on all my social media. You could see more about the Quark expedition, and I have a print story in Pasadena magazine that's online now. But they have helicopters. I, in fact, did a polar plunge. They had kayaking. So if you like your holiday to be more adventurous and you are interested in Antarctica, and I imagine a scuba club likes adventure, some of the ships that go to Antarctica, you just look from the ship. Our trip, we were in the Zodiacs all the time. We were walking on land. Some, like me, hula hooped on the land or the fast ice. Some of the companies don't have a polar plunge or other fun toys like kayaks. I did not kayak. I did stand up paddleboard, and that was when I had my second oops accidental polar plunge. Yeah, and I did, yes, have a dry suit, but it was too tight in the neck, so I put something in it. So then when you fall in the water, it's not such a good dry suit, as all scuba divers would know. But anyway, I lived. So underwater, my photos are not perfect, like I mentioned earlier. It's something for me to work on. Above water, I'm okay. These are all my pictures. I've gone on 2 different walking safaris with the polar bears. This is a company called Churchill Wild. So we walked with the polar bears and the wolves and my new favorite animal, beluga whales. I loved seeing them. And in fact, we were able to find a place to polar plunge. So I actually got to polar plunge in the North and South Pole within 6 months, which I applied for Guinness Book of World Records, but first is not a category. I have to come up with something else. But anyway, beluga whales, they sing and they can move their necks. So it's believed that when people on ships thought they heard the mermaids singing, that it was the beluga whales. You maybe already knew that. I was fascinated. They dropped a microphone, I can't think of the right word for that, but into the water and we could hear them singing. It was amazing. And when we flew, because this is quite remote, you fly from Churchill out to the lodge. We flew over, you could see literally thousands of beluga whales. It was unbelievable. I've had a lot of other exciting adventures. We can talk more about them. I want to make sure there's time for questions. This is in Vanuatu. We went to to see a village, and I had permission when we went to watch the kids dance to bring my hula hoop. I always ask because it is a weird thing to bring into a place that's somewhat restricted from other people. In Vanuatu at Tana, you can walk at the active volcano. You wear a hard hat. I don't know why. There's a rickety fence, so you should be careful at the edge because it's a real active volcano. It's definitely not like Disneyland. The kids love the hula hoop. I also got permission to bring my hula hoop when I was on safari. The Maasai warriors did their jumping dance, and I taught them to hula hoop. One guy was so good, all the other warriors laughed at him, and they laughed so hard they fell down. I did not think that was actually a good thing for him, but he was a good hula hooper. This is another trip. This is the same trip, but this is another part of the safari. That's us visiting a school. And so, one thing I encourage you when you are in another country, these kids at school live near all of the animals that we went to see, but they hadn't really seen them. So they're gathered around me looking at the pictures of the zebras and the rhino and the giraffes. So when I think it's really important to interact with people locally and share what you've seen. It's not necessary. We have it here in Los Angeles. I used to teach in public school that certain kids in different areas of Los Angeles had never been to the beach. So depending where you are, people have different access. So I always think it's important to share what you're seeing, even with the people that already live there. They don't necessarily have the access that you do. And certainly if you're underwater. This was one of my favorite trips in Mongolia. We went 11 days from Ulaanbaatar to the Gobi Desert and stayed in the Gers. I did not go scuba diving here. And then I'm a teacher. I always have find kids to talk to and take pictures with, and sometimes we're able to bring supplies, but mostly it's just really fun to say hello in Indonesia. I have not yet been to Raja Ampat, that's on my list, but when I was in Indonesia, we stopped in Sumba and they had an English class. And my traveling partner and I were invited to be guests at English class. They had never met or heard a native English speaker. One of the first questions was, why did you come here? But it was really remarkable. These pictures was Vietnam, Tonga, Thailand, Samoa. And as I mentioned earlier, my TV segment on the Jet Set about Ireland. I won a Telly. It's very exciting. I'm hoping to do some more television segments. Ireland is already committed next year. We're doing a second segment. I'm probably going to do one in Aruba. I would love to do one underwater. Maybe you guys have some good leads for me of underwater videographers. And I do have my book, Bravish. Tomorrow, Bravish is 2. And I'm happy you can reach out to me on any social media. We could talk. I'm happy to work with your club team because I want to know how everyone has a cool nickname. I would like a nickname. And oh, this is whale sharks in Cebu. There we go. So I really appreciate you inviting me. I'm happy to take any questions. And thank you so much. And I'm supposed to tell you about the diving. In January, I think that I'm going to have a group on Virgin Voyages, and it has 3 good scuba opportunities. So we'll get you the information. I don't have it quite yet, but it'll be right after New Year's. And I'm gonna, oh, look, that's more. I'm gonna stop sharing. We'll take questions.
Thank you so much. Let's start with the room. Doug, do you have the microphone?
Yeah, Chris, can you hear us all right?
Yeah, we can. I can.
Excellent.
Everyone else
Okay.
check? Okay.
All right, question and answer. Jen.
Okay, so the most obvious question. Well, let me preface this by saying I'm a professional writer, and also, as you might have noticed, I can travel. How do I get your job?
Oh,
How do I make money off of doing that?
okay. Wait, aren't you the one that's leading the Tahiti trip?
Yeah, but I'm not getting paid to do it.
Okay, well, listen, so one of the things I always talk about in my book is small steps lead to big changes. So the way you get paid for it is first you have to ask. Nobody pays you if you don't ask. My accountant is explaining that to me last year when I did my taxes. What?
No, sorry, they're all being facetious. No, but I'm actually serious. Like, how does one become a travel journalist? Because like, I do actually know how to write, and so that seems like something I very much could do. But I have no idea how I would make that career switch because like I'm in tech writing right now.
Oh, so you're perfect. I'll tell you how. I'll put my email in the chat, or you can get it from somebody. It's not hard. I'm diverniver@hotmail.com. And I have a travel writing class. I'm happy to give you information about my class or give my class to you. And you could be in, we have a writing group. The funny thing is during COVID, I didn't travel and I started being a tech writer. I wrote for Wired. So I actually wrote, it was funny we have a writing group called Under Promise Over Deliver, UPOD. And we do these sessions where editors come and tell us what are they looking for. And I watched a woman live pitch, and it's not there anymore, but Alan Henry was my editor at Wired. And I watched Alan accept this article that I thought was the dumbest idea ever. And he was like, this is such a great idea. And I was like, that is not a great idea. I was like, you think that's a great idea? So I messaged him because I wasn't in the room live. And I had switched from Android to iPhone during COVID. I was like, I think this is a good idea. And he's like, okay. And so that was my first story. It was like moving to the dark side or something. I don't know why people thought Apple was the dark side, but anyway. Yeah, if you write tech, you can write travel. Absolutely. I'll help you. You can, they're looking for freelancers at PADI magazine, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you ever go to DEMA? Does anyone from your group go to DEMA? You're going to be in Orlando?
No, I've never been to DEMA. I'm not actually in the industry.
Yes, you are. You're a diver. You're a writer. You say you are a writer.
I'm a consumer in this part.
You want a media pass to go to DEMA? You can come with me for free to DEMA. Because you're a writer.
Okay. When is DEMA?
What? This year?
When is
DEMA's so dumb. The last one was in Vegas. The one before was in New Orleans, and this year's in Orlando. I'm like, couldn't it be in a dive place?
Yeah.
What did you say? What's diveable?
I would argue anything is diveable as long as there's water.
Okay, that's fine. In Las Vegas, I went scuba diving at Shark Reef. That's true. I went to Shark Reef, but you have to wear chainmail, which is so weird.
That is weird.
I know. They said it's important for their insurance. They're weird. Anyway, so actually, maybe I would go diving in Orlando. Maybe you could dive at Epcot. Can you dive at Epcot?
I have dove there. I dove there in 2019. I dove there in 2019. It was
you're
fantastic.
Gonna message me because not everybody wants a good travel writer.
I highly recommend diving at Epcot. It's so much fun because it's not the stuff in the aquarium. It's the interacting with the kids that are watching you dive. It's so much fun. So if you go to Orlando, go dive Epcot. It's great.
I used to be a safety diver at the Aquarium of the Pacific here, and we have the scuba show used to be right there, so we used to do things with them. But I love being in the tank because the kids are always like, "What are you doing in there?"
Yeah, it was like the tank itself. I kind of got bored of diving around because it's like I'm used to the ocean, so it's like this is not the diving part is so kind of not my jam. But I'm not used to having children with their face pressed up against the glass, like, oh, this is so cool. And then like you go over there and you just like touch the glass, and they would get so excited. It was really a lot of fun.
I used to tell people it's fun to dive in the aquarium, except it's not the same in the ocean. You're like, maybe we'll see an octopus. In the aquarium, you're like, I'm gonna see that guy and that guy and that turtle always tries to eat me. You
Right?
know?
You're like, oh, it's you again. Yeah, we're well acquainted by now. Hey, look, there's some kid.
Yes, Jen, you'll message me.
Okay, yes, I definitely will.
I got a question. Fair enough. First things first, thank you. That was a really good presentation, and you showed that you've been to a lot of different destinations, and you've seen a lot of rare animals as well too, such as like whale sharks, beluga whales, endangered iguanas, and polar bears. Is there an animal, whether it be on land or in the ocean, that has eluded you or is still on your bucket list?
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. I'm glad you like my presentation. I appreciate that. An animal I haven't seen. Well, I've never been to the Whitsundays or the Great Barrier Reef. That's pretty high on my list. I've been to Australia, but not for scuba. Um, huh. The blue-footed boobies was on my list a long time, but I got to see them in the Galapagos. I don't know. That's a good question. Mostly, the thing is, they're not on my list because I don't know about them. Like where did we do the muck diving? Oh, maybe in Sipadan. We did the diving under the oil rig and we saw the frogfish. And I was like, I know that I have no idea what that is. So sometimes you don't know what you don't know, but I love seeing things that are new to me. I'm ready. Gonna go somewhere new. I don't know where. Oh, I know what I want to see. I want to go see the hammerheads. I've never seen hammerhead sharks.
They are pretty cool. Lisa, if you had to pick one place you've been to return and visit again, where would it be?
Oh, it's such a good question because next month is my birthday and I have not been diving during my book tour because I've been so busy and I just found amazing flights. I'm going to Bonaire.
Nice.
That's one of my favorite places.
If you need someone to carry your luggage, I speak the language.
Okay, you're hired. Perfect. Come on. Oh, I'd love that idea. I don't know if you guys have done a trip to Bonaire, but when I worked on the cruise ship, the Bonaire at the time did not allow ships, which I worked on ships a long time for 3 different companies. I love cruising has its pluses. I thought it was great when they were not in Bonaire, but so certain places over the years, because I was on ships for so long, like when I sailed out of Puerto Rico around the Caribbean, our route was around Cuba. For months, I basically sailed around Cuba. So when I finally got to go to Cuba, I was like, oh, good, I went there. And Bonaire was kind of the same way. We went to Aruba and Curacao, but never to Bonaire. So when I was doing my 50 things for the book, one of my friends said I should count up my countries, and I was close to 100 countries. So one of the suggestions was to look for landlocked countries because I hadn't gone to them on the ship. So there were, like inside Italy, there's 2 countries. There's Vatican City and there's San Marino. And so it was a clever suggestion. So that's a little bit how some of the places I've been have come about as like random stories or conferences. Like I've been to Ireland a number of times before I filmed the TV segment there because one of the travel magazine conferences was held a few times in Ireland. So sometimes it's driven by different reasons, or like, DEMA conference or the scuba show but yeah, I would definitely go back to Bonaire. That's a great question.
So I have a story to tell.
Oh, good.
About your skydiving. So I did the same thing. I did a tandem jump years ago in Oahu. Fabulous, right? So I'm laughing. I'm having a great time. I'm with my girlfriends. Everything's funny. We're having a great time. We get on the boat. I mean, on the ship, the plane. We're, yeah.
I don't know what the drinks are where you are, but I want one.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're laughing. We're having a great time. We're and literally up to so my friend was right in front of me, and right at the door, right, I look and out she goes, and I look down and I went, oh shit, because she's down, she's falling. And I literally put my hands up on the door like a cat, right? And they had to pull my hands off because there's timed. I mean, you have to go out, so you make sure you hit the thing. Oh my God, I was so embarrassed, but I saw my friend go and I went, holy shit. And I just like put my hands up. And but up until that point, it was fabulous. But really, no, it was, I will tell you, one of the smartest things I did, hired a videographer. So I have everything videoed, and actually kind of, because the videographer jumps like the second before you do, so he can get you coming out of the plane, and I'm coming out of the plane like this. I mean, yeah. But one of the things I hung in my office was a picture of me like scared. And then literally 1 second later, that same picture that you have where your arms are out and you're just having a fabulous time. Yeah, it's great. It's great. But yeah, as soon as you said, well, you're so brave to jump out of a plane, I'm like, yeah, I hear you, sister. I have that video. We'll show it in case sometime.
Well, Lisa, thank you very, very much for being here and for the presentation. It was lovely. And we did have you on mute just because there's a bit of background noise. It's a bar, so doors opening and closing. There were lots of laughs and exclamations at various points through the presentation. So please know it was informative and entertaining. I could ask you about 14 questions, but I'll stick to one. Having not been to the Solomon Islands, my curiosity was piqued by the idea that they actually are using shells as legitimate currency. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I can leg it up to a bar and pass over the right shells and get a beer. Is it like, are we talking about transactional currency?
That's a very good question. So it's mostly now used ceremonially, like for a bride price. But in different parts of the South Pacific, there have I don't know if you've ever seen these giant stone wheels, or they're round. I believe in Yap, that's a form of currency. And I think that there might be one somewhere in the Smithsonian or the White House that was given as a gift to the United States from the people of Yap. So it's not, like when I know you're going soon to Polynesia, French Polynesia. I don't know. We've talked about that. It's, $12 for a Coca-Cola. They're not going to take shell money. But it's one of the coolest things, I think, is to go and see what's different. Like one of the places I went in the Solomon Islands is Skull Island. There was a headhunting. I don't think tradition's the right word to say, but headhunting happened. And so I have a video on YouTube that's just Skull Island. I think that I have maybe just over 30 videos, short videos from Solomon Islands. And I think that, that took them in tourism from, we have 4 videos to now we have 34. So there's a lot of Solomon Islands that is incredible to explore. I was on 3 islands, but there's many, many islands in Solomon Islands. You can go there by liveaboard. You can stay there. It's great. But no, you can't use the shell money for a drink. But
well, I still would like to visit, but I was quite intrigued with the idea of exchanging US dollars for shells and paying for my beer that way. So,
well, you might get a bride that way.
Well, I didn't think about that. I'll have to talk to the significant other before I go down that road. Any other questions for Lisa?
I'm curious about the hula hoop thing. Like, how did that get started? And like, do you just hula hoop all over the world? How
Mhm.
does one pack a hula hoop?
Those are all very good, reasonable questions. So I said in the beginning, I'm from Los Angeles. And for those of you that have ever lived here or visited the nonsense of us, there's every kind of class in Los Angeles. So I did one time take a class, a hula hooping class as an adult. And for everybody that's saying I can't hula hoop, that's because you're using a child size hoop. You need an adult size hoop. And the way that you travel with a hoop is it's like a PVC piping. So it comes apart into 5 pieces. It's not collapsible, it's sections. And I don't travel carry-on. I pack the hula hoop in my luggage. I originally started using the hoop. I mean, I had taken this class and I used to hula hoop every day after work, after teaching. I've had hula hoops in my classroom, out on the yard. And I also work as a teacher on set for Nickelodeon and Paramount. So sometimes I bring hoops and it's like something to do when we're not filming. And honestly, I never thought of it as something to film. It was something I did for exercise and like to be centered. And when I was in 11 months in Asia, we were in the Thailand equivalent of Walmart and they had a hoop. And so I bought it. And then we saw people hooping, like they have a fire show in Thailand. If you've been to like the smaller islands, they have fire dancing and they do use hoops with fire. So that was one of the things they were like, oh, we'll teach you to hoop with the fire. And I was like, that sounds terrible. That's too dangerous for me. Things could go wrong. Anyway, I was filming with on the Icon of the Seas, the Royal Caribbean ship, and I was filming for the Jet Set and another TV program. And we were talking, we were together for a while, and I said to the sound guy, I said something about my hula hoop. He's like, "You have a hula hoop and we're not filming?" I'm like, "No one wants to see that." He's like, "Lisa, everyone wants to see that." So we filmed all around, and when they cut the video, they gave me 2 different videos for the 2 different TV programs, and the guy was like, "Listen, I cut you one just the hula hoop because it's so funny." And then it just became more and more of a thing, like realizing that people cared, like it was funny, or it's entertaining, or it's so weird, like who hula hoops in Antarctica? And when on my ship, when we crossed the Antarctic Circle, my Quark expedition, we went south of the Antarctic Circle, so we had a ceremony crossing the circle. So I brought the hoop because they invited me to. They knew I had the hoop, and I didn't want it to be so weird, like, oh my God, there's that girl again with the hula hoop. I mean, some people were probably thinking that, but well, on the day that happened, where we were doing the polar plunge, I think that I'm really low key, like no one knows who I am. I'm just that quiet journalist in the corner. I'm doing the polar plunge, and right before it's my turn to jump in, someone screams from the upper deck, "Where's the hula hoop?" And I'm like, oh. I'm like, should I be embarrassed? But I have to tell you, I'm not embarrassed because my Telly Award, I've been taking it with me out to lunch and dinner in Los Angeles. And I was at a meeting yesterday at the Fairmont Miramar in Santa Monica by the ocean. And there we are taking pictures. Like I have my Telly and my other award because I've been nominated in the journalism awards. I've been nominated 40 times in this 2 different cycles. I've won like 11 times. It was my first time winning first place. So we're taking pictures with my 2 awards, making such a scene. And all of a sudden my friend says, "Arnold Schwarzenegger's at the next table." And it was all I could do not to get up and be like, "Could you please take a picture of me and my Telly?" And I really almost did it, but I didn't. Next time.
Next time. Yeah, you shoulda. You shoulda.
He was really in a serious meeting. They were talking. There were 3 of them, and I was like,
That's surely not as serious as a Telly Award.
I'm pretty sure Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't he's been the governor, he's won a lot of awards. And it's a much funnier story. Anyway, that's what happened with the hula hoop. He breaks in pieces, and I don't know, it's kind of weird, I know, but that's what I do.
Okay.
But yeah, you could get one too. I can tell you where to find one. I have a very nice lady on Etsy that makes them because I like to pick all the colors because they wrap them in ribbon.
fun.
You probably actually, one time she made me ribbon that had butterflies, but I think my next one I'm gonna get penguins.
You should get an octopus one.
Huh?
You should get an octopus one.
I could get all creatures, narwhal, octopus, hammerhead. It could be my bucket list. What do I want to see next?
So I was born and raised in Torrance, so I can relate to living in LA. But I have to ask, in your travels abroad, what was the biggest culture shock for you in your travels?
Oh, that's a really good question. The biggest culture shock. In all honesty, the most, I mean, I've had time struggles. I was just talking with a friend a couple of days ago who I used to work with on the cruise ship, and she's going to be going with her family from Italy to Hawaii, which is a 12-hour time difference. And we were talking, once I joined the ship, I went from LA to Istanbul, which I think was around the same number of hours. And it was so hard for me. The biggest culture shock that I really remember is leaving. I just told you in the talk that I had done an 11-month trip. So we went 11 months mostly in Asia and came back to LA for 3 years. And then I was traveling for 18 months, mostly in Asia. And I came back to the United States. And I remember very distinctly calling my best friend from the gas station. And I was like, I cannot buy gas. It is so expensive. And she said, listen, Lisa, this is what I want you to do. Buy the gas, get in your car, drive home and call me back because we're not talking about this right now. You must buy gas. That's what gas costs. Just buy the gas. Because I had called her earlier in the day from the supermarket with the same complaint. She's like, Lisa, this is what things cost. You lived somewhere else, it was cheaper. Now this is what it costs. I'm like, do you know how many nights I could stay in my hotel in Thailand for the amount this gas costs? She's like, you're not in Thailand anymore. I'm like, I could buy breakfast for 45 baht. She's like, you're not in Thailand anymore. So I mostly have it when I come back. And also I have it also in LA when I'm like, what do you mean I can't go scuba diving? There's no, what am I supposed to do all day long? Come on. So yeah, mostly when I get home, I think, how soon before I could leave again? Is that bad? But good question.
All right, Chris. Well, thank you very much again, Lisa. That was wonderful.
Do
Really
we have
enjoyable.
any questions from
Lovely.
chat? Does anyone in chat want to put some questions in? I wouldn't mind popping a question in, Lisa.
Tell me.
So you mentioned one of your photos was from Sipadan, and one of my first places I was supposed to go after qualifying was Sipadan, and so I was sent to Singapore, and I couldn't go because Malaysian pirates were active in that area. This was a long time ago. But have you ever been in a situation when you were like, uh-oh, things are going south, like I maybe should not be here? And so have you, on all your travels, have you had a situation where you're like, uh-oh?
Yes, I have. I'm sorry you didn't get to go yet, but I hope you get to go.
Yeah.
One of the most memorable things of losing places to go, I worked for Princess Cruises, Royal Caribbean, and then Renaissance Cruises. And for Renaissance, we had this 50-day itinerary from Athens to Bangkok. And we were literally sailing, it might have been like 2 weeks after the USS Aden got bombed. No, that's not right. It got bombed in Yemen. That wasn't the name of the ship, though. An American ship was bombed in Yemen. And so we didn't go there. We still were able to go to Oman and Doha, but we lost that. And there have been a few on the ships. I've had more experience. I mean, I was at sea almost 7 years. We had a lot of things where we lost certain places that it was actually the Solomon Islands and Sri Lanka, both on different cruises. We lost them because of conflict. So when I got invited to go to the Solomon Islands, was very exciting for me because we had done a sailing out of San Francisco to Hawaii. It was a World War II cruise, and we couldn't go because of the fighting. And that is part of the reason I've never been to Papua New Guinea. I really want to go there, but and also you know, when you work on the ship, you have a different perspective than the people that just come for the one cruise. There was a hurricane, and so the ship was doing, the captain and everybody was doing their best to not be in the hurricane. And so we ended up going to Trinidad, and it was not a normal cruise port at the time. And they didn't let all of us off, but the people that could get off, we were so excited, like, oh, we get to go somewhere new. And the people that had paid for certain places that they couldn't go, they were pretty upset. And we were like, listen, what can you do? One of the things I talk about a lot when I give a talk, especially at the Travel and Adventure Show, is to make sure that you always use the F word, which of course is flexible. That's what you were thinking. And you know, sometimes if you commute essentially by plane, which is what I do, you know, the plane is going to be late, your luggage is going to be lost. I was getting on the plane to go to Dallas to speak at the Frequent Travel University conference, and I literally was in line. Above the door said boarding, and then it said canceled. I was like, who does that? We're here. But there was terrible weather in Dallas, and or they're not terrible weather, thunderstorms or whatever it was. And we were in LA, and they diverted too many planes, and ours was just canceled. So I think the hardest thing to remember when you're traveling is that it's not happening to you. My friends and I have talked about that a lot during COVID. You know, the global pandemic's happening to everybody. March 2020 would have been my best year, my best month ever financially as a content creator, television person, journalist. March 2020, like March 9th, I signed a bunch of contracts. March 13th, I tore them all up. And, you know, it felt like it was happening to me, but it, you know, obviously it was a tragedy and traumatic and challenging. And if I heard that word pivot one more time, I was going to scream. But you know, we're all impacted by weather. You know, when you're somewhere scuba diving and they scrub your day, like, well, probably wouldn't be great to go out if the boat's not safe, but I really wanted to go. So I think that's the hardest thing, is having perspective and taking the longer view. And, you know, like, yes, you couldn't go to Sipadan, then probably it wouldn't have been very safe.
Yeah, no, yeah, they abducted some folks a couple of weeks before I was supposed to go. So yes.
Yes, we're very thankful they didn't abduct you. That's good.
Yeah. Wow. So do we have any more questions from chat or in the room? And I'm conscious we've taken up an hour already of your time. But yeah, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, Lisa Niver, among other things, author of Bravish, jet-setting globe trotter, and scuba diver.
Yeah, so everybody feel free to message me. If there are people that want to sign book, you can write to me, or you can ask about that. I think that you guys were going to give away my travel class.
Yeah, so there was there should be raffle tickets in the room. Maybe we should do the drawing?
That's right, Chris. Yes, we are. Let me find an assistant and shake my little bag up here for a second.
Maybe you need a hula hoop so you can shake.
There you go.
Adam?
Yeah.
Here, Eric, you can hold that. I'm gonna let you reach your paw in here.
Okay.
He has paws?
All right. Ready here.
They let him in a bar with
Up a
paws?
little bit. In the
Yeah.
interest of
Shake,
fairness.
shake it up a lot.
All right.
I'm gonna try and get this
Get in
one.
there, swim around a little bit, grab a ticket.
Oh, and I know you're having people take photos in French Polynesia. Maybe someone wants to write a story for my website about your scuba trip to Polynesia.
Oh yeah, there you go.
All right. Everybody got their ticket? Did I miss anybody before we? I think I got everybody. No, you cannot get to. But thank you for asking. So the winning number, you got one, Holly. I know that for sure. You're trying to game the game, Holly.
If you message me, I'll hook you up.
All right. If we can commence, the winning ticket is 212-6085. Excellent.
Oh, awesome.
We have a winner. I didn't screw it up after all. There we go. Managed to keep track of all the tickets.
We believed in you.
All right. Excellent. So we'll Doug, I'll send you the link that Lisa gave us for that. Okay, and you can pass it on.
Thank you, Lisa, very much. Very generous of you, and we do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
I'm
you for
sorry.
inviting me.
Thank you so much, Lisa Niver, everyone. Cheers.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and I say goodbye.
You'll be back.
I'll be back. I'll get you the details for January.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Bye.
So we'll bring the meeting to a close here. If anyone who wants to hang out online for a little bit longer, I'll keep the Zoom call open for gossiping and chatting for another like 20 minutes or so. And yeah, remember, tip your barman, folks. They look after us. Let's look after them. Excellent. Thank you so much.
And hey, Chris, if you want to give a little detail on the prize as well, there were a few questions around the online
yes.
course.
Yes. So Lisa has a course on Udemy, which we talked about. And if you want to talk about that, maybe Lisa. But she was kind enough to give us a free course on travel writing. And that's what the prize is. Yeah. And maybe maybe Jane, maybe you should just steal the winning the winning ticket.
Listen, if there's any other travel hopeful writers in the room, you could message me. I'll hook you up. Don't you worry.
That's so generous. Thank you. Great. So I'll leave. Thank you so much. I'll be back in a second. I noticed we had an old president pop up on the Zoom call earlier. But I'm going to be back in a second. I'll catch up with you guys on Butch and that online. But anyway, to the room. I'll see you soon. Be right back.
Thanks for organizing, Chris. Thank you, Lisa.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Official.
And remind me the screen name.
I don't have one yet.
Oh, you don't have one yet?
So, but can I pay membership tonight and get one?
Yeah, you can, or I can. Have you been on the site?
Yeah.
Okay. So, chumclub.org, and then let me show you the tab. Of course, on travel writing if you're interested.
Yeah, I've always been interested in it.
Oh, sorry, Hall. Oh, what am I doing?
Well, at least I call it. That way it allows me to deduct all these expenses on these 2 months that I own to try to fake out.
I can send you a note.
Yeah, so I'm Atlantean on the, but I can show you here. There's an account upgrade.
Okay. I've seen that.
So, God, it's been forever since I've done this. So, that's not it. Yeah, so if you it may take a day or two for the approval to go through.
Okay.
But then you can go to your profile tab here and click account upgrades. And then scroll down, and it's going to be the Tiger Shark membership. There's an option for 1 year, 2 years, etc. It's $35 a year. And then from that point, it'll take you to. Did you need me?
Yeah, this is